this one points, whatever, I don't know when it is, but it's actually for it. I don't know, some church or,
I think that a bunch of the 21 points are pretty good. So he's not going to sustain. But that's well, consistent to everything. I don't know, I'm going to do it.
Not be sunny long, for sure.
I think it's going to be more. It's the next one. Or it's the next one.
She's running. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Morning.
How did Rosh Hashanah go for you?
It was good. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah.
You at the JCC for your paper?
Yes, I'll be there the whole day. Yes. Yeah.
Kol Nidre, everything.
The whole thing. Yeah. Kol Nidre through Neila. I'll be there. Yeah. You, Daniel, will be here in this room. Okay.
Yeah, this room.
Very
But
good.
this room was full.
I heard. By the way, JC was more full also this year than last year. And so there's more people now suddenly around between all the minyanim.
Yeah, we're going to be expanding, right?
That-
But
that,
the main shul is staying the same, so.
the main shul is staying the same, right? So it means that the social hall needs to be bigger. Yeah.
It's going to be bigger, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Let's ooh. Shlomo know where the papers are. He usually is very good with he puts them away every week. Okay. Oh, take care. What was that? Oh, he's not coming?
Oh,
Shlomo. Oh. Okay. I know he was. Yeah, I saw him in davening.
Yeah. I've been asking about the share. I said, yeah, there's share today.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good morning, Simeon. How are you in Florida down there? You have you're muted though, just so you're aware. So I can't hear your words yet. Okay. All righty. So let's just quickly review 2 weeks ago what we did. Shlomo, you know where the sheets are in case you need? Okay, thank you. So just a quick this is a helpful refresher for me also. One of the last thing we talked about was what the Rama wrote at the end of Sif Beis. Where he had said that there are those that are machmir, that there are those who permit a non-Jew to light a candle for the Suda Shabbos, because it's mutter to tell a non-Jew to even do a malacha gemura b'po mitzvah. When there's a mitzvah, then we'll allow it. Sha'al pizeh nahagu rabbi, and then the Ramad said because of this principle. Many have been lenient to tell a non-Jew to light a candle for the Suda. In particular, this happened a lot with Sudas Chasana and the Sudas Mila. The Ein Mocha B'Yadam, and if they do this, they follow this. The Ramah said, don't protest. And the Ramah also said at the end of Sif Beis that there are those who are machmir when there isn't a great need, because most disagree with this svara, with this reasoning and this logic, and then he tells you to take a look at Shin Zayin, which we had mentioned is where we paskin that really we only allow a shvus of a mitzvah where there's a double dirab, what we'll call double dirabanan, when there's a mitzvah situation involved or a great need. So that would be an example. Would be Amir al-Nachri is one dirabanan, but you would be telling you a dirabanan, not a darabanan. So there's a darabanan on top of a darabanan, and we have a makom mitzvah, so we will allow it. I just wanted this to, as we start, and then really just say a few words, and then we're going to go to Sif Gimel. I wanted to read the Aruch HaShulchan. Last time we read the story that about his childhood, what he remembered from his childhood about how they sort of hinted to doing something, but they was never hinting to do something on their own behalf. That's right. and that was more, you incentivized the non-Jew to do something on their own behalf, and if that works out for you, then super. But if you can't, well, by the way, did you notice it's dark in my house? And you're like, you go to the door like, great. If they get the hint, they get the signal, whenever they turn that light on, it's not for you. Sorry, it's not for them, so it's obviously for you, and that's not permissible. So I just wanted to read the Aruch HaShulchan, a different piece of his, where he explains. I'm just reading the Aruch HaShulchan right now. We're gonna be on 112 in my edition in a moment. We're just sort of making some comments here from the Mishnah Aruch HaShulchan about the Ramah's comments. Okay. So he says, because why I like reading this Aruch HaShulchan, because he gives the background of the sugya. He gives the background of the sugya and the opinions of the Rishonim. And we told you that the Baal HaItur is the opinion here that we end up relying upon a little bit for mitzvah derabim when there's a great need. We saw in the Mishnah Brura that if the Eruv wire goes down, you can tell an Andra to be metakein the wire on Shabbos, which is a mitzvah d'oraisa of tikkun, mana, bona probably actually, and we allow it when it's a mitzvah derabim, allow it like a mitzvah of Eruv. Okay, we saw also the extension that Rav Moshe said that if the air conditioning needs to be turned off in the shul, lights need to be turned on, it's a mitzvah the rabbim that people should daven, in comfort and with the ability to see their siddur. So the Aruch HaShulchan says, Bira dvarim da'amrina be'eruvin. So this whole machlokes about shvus b'makom mitzvah, shvus b'makom mitzvah, it comes from a sugya in eruvin. The mutter lomar, where it says in eruvin, the mutter lomar la'eno yehudi lahavi mayim chamin l'tzorech hamila derech chatzar she'ena meureves. Where the Gemara permits telling a non-Jew to bring hot water for the needs of a bris milah, and you can have them bring the water through a courtyard that is not doesn't have an eruv. Now, chatzar she'ena meureves. How would we? Those of you who have been in Steve Keller's Shabbos Shir from years ago when we were doing Chelek Daled. Do you recall if you walk through a chatzar she'ena meureves, what level of prohibition with an item you can walk through it? If you carry through that space, what level of the prohibition we're talking about here? Any recollections? Steve, it's been a long time since the like that. So that would be what we call a karmelis. We wouldn't say that that's an issa d'oraisa. An issa d'oraisa has to be reshus harabim d'oraisa. And what's the reshus harabim d'oraisa? Well, it's a big rule of machloket too. But it's definitely not a chatzar. That's a courtyard because it's not a public thoroughfare. And so we're talking about an issa d'rabbanan here of carrying through a chatzar she'ena meureves, a courtyard that doesn't have an eruv. And by the way, a good fact is an eruv will only help you with a rabbinic problem. An eruv will never help you with a biblical problem. If you have a reshus harabim d'oraisa, no rabbinic fixes can help you. An eruv doesn't do you any good. An eruv helps you when you have a karmelis, have a public space. It's essentially a reshus harabim. In the way we think about it, it's a public domain, but doesn't fit the bill of d'oraisa reshus harabim, which requires 600,000 thoroughfare, travelers or. I don't know, travelers is the right word there, but people who are traversing that road in order for it to be a reshus harabim d'oraisa. It's actually quite a high threshold. There are other definitions of maybe have things that might fit the bill, maybe highways. It's an interesting discussion. When we get to Chelek Daled, I'll have hopefully plenty to say because of my Eruv experience here. But anyway, so that's the halacha here, yeah.
So how can you rely on the a place where you can carry on Shabbos?
Because how many people are there? I don't know. What's the population in Yerushalayim? No, I don't even know.
It's pretty high. I mean, it's over the 600,000.
But in any particular given street, will we get 600,000 people who travel?
No.
That's the key. I think I've told this. I think it's a factual story. Rav Moshe Feinstein, whose apartment was near the FDR in a drive, whatever the highway over there. And that he would sit by his window one time and he would count how many cars drove by on the highway. Doesn't sound like a story that makes any sense. But the point is why? It's because he wanted to determine, is it a reshus harabim d'oraisa I don't know if that's.
What does that mean? We should go.
It means that it means it's a public domain space. That's a public domain, but it is so. It is. Where is that based off of, by the way? Because that's the number of Jews who traveled in the Midbar,
Right.
who were counted, by the way. The women and the children weren't counted, but and those who were above the age of service. But yeah, so that was approximately 600,000. So that from that number we get the idea that if that's the kind of traveling that's a biblical level of where you can't carry, you can't any space like that. That's
You cannot carry.
no. Not in Rosh Hashanah Doraisa. We have very few of them today. There's a machlokas about New York
If you
City.
make, if you make, cannot carry.
Not in if there's a Rosh Hashanah to Oraisa. Again, it's a very high threshold to reach that. There's a machlokas about New York City, about Broadway, that perhaps Broadway is a street that enough people traverse it that there's no way you can make an Eruv with it. There are those who disagree, and there are those who. That's why the machlokas. If you live in Manhattan, do you carry it there? Do you not carry it the Eruv? But that's where it all stems from. I'm not saying you shouldn't carry if you're
Yeah,
in
but what if they
Manhattan,
do
but
that small area in Manhattan?
they might do. I don't actually know what they do.
Not the entire.
Yeah, they might do. It's just like it's about including a street that has.
Same thing.
Right. It's about including a street that doesn't have that definition. But yeah, anyways, point is here that the Gemara says that here you're asking an Andrew to do something that's rabbinically not okay. Umizeh lamar Rambam beperek vav techol amir le'eno Yehudi muter b'shvus d'Rabbanan b'mkom mitzvah b'ktsas sorech cholei. And the Rambam, very important, his stock on his read of the Gemara is anything you want to ask an Andrew to do that's only a d'Rabbanan. When it's a Malko mitzvah, it's a mitzvah like a bris milah is an example of a mitzvah. That's also a mitzvah of eres. To do some milah on the right day and to take care of it on the right day is oktas sorecholi, or is a reason for a person is not well. By the way, the baby after the bris milah, that's the idea is like you're taking care of the wound. I see your hand, Simeon. Give me one moment. I'm just going to finish this little part, and then you're going to share your question or thought is. Rabboseinu Baalei Tosfos, the Tosfos in Bava Kama though, he writes more stringently. Baalei Tosfos are more stringent about this question. The Chol HaMitzvos lo hitiru amir le'eno Yehudi b'shvus rak litzorech mila hitiru. Says the rabbis only gave permission when it was the needs of a bris milah. They do not extend this to any other, rabbinic transgression that you may, violate for purposes of a mitzvah. And so therefore, we have this machlokas between the Rambam and Tosfos. Tosfos is way more strict about this question than I already basically gave away. We passed in like the Rambam basically on this one. Okay, Amnam, the Ran. So Perak Yotes, okay, the Ran writes, Hevi Shebal Ha'itur Kasav Tafilu B'Malacha Do Raisa Motalom Aleinu Yehudi Asos B'Machal Mitzvah. The Ran quotes this singular opinion of the Bal Ha'itur, who says even if it was a mitzvah a Malacha Do Raisa, it's permissible if there's a mitzvah situation here. Shehu Mefarish Be'ervin. He understood the Gemara as also including that you asked the non-Jew to bring the water derech reshus harabim doraisa, and therefore he extends the interesting read of the Gemara over there in Eruvin. And therefore, that's where the Baal Ha'iter comes from with his opinion that you could even ask a non-Jew to do a doraisa if there's a malchol mitzvah. And then he ends by saying, it's really strange that the Ramah here quotes this one Rishon against even the Rambam, who's less strict than Tosfos, but no one else was anywhere close to the Baal Ha'iter's opinion. And so he says, the Rambam, if you read carefully, he wasn't saying, yeah, this is fine. He says, don't protest if other people do this. He's not giving it a full endorsement. And if you look in the Bach and the Magen Rama, I think I read this in the Mishnah Berurah previously, that it's better when they write mutav shiu shogim v'alyum azidim, which is saying it's wrong. and let them do it because it's shogeg. Don't get into an argument with them because they're not going to listen to you probably, But he says, but if you could get them to be a cholas limchos, if you can do something and they will listen to you, pshita shemichavim, excuse me, limchos. Uvizmanenu lo shamana lahakim bazeh. The Aruch Shulchan says, in my day, I never heard of being lenient about this. By the way, so here's an example where the Mishnah Brura was more lenient because he says, okay, if it's a mitzvah, the rabbim will rely on the Baal HaIter, but the Aruch Shulchan says, lo shamanu mizeh. We don't rely on this kula at all. And again, it really explains the Aruch Shulchan's derech. He tells what the minhag is. This is not our minhag. Our minhag is not to be lenient here. Whether it's minhag, it can be lakula, minhag, it can be lakumra. He's very much minhag driven. Yeah, Simeon, thank you for waiting on that one. If you want to finish that, go ahead.
By the way, Rav, I would have a second question about the Aruch HaShulchan. Wasn't he was also an Ashkenazi, yes?
For sure.
Sure. Okay. I have difficulty with that. And by the way, I had the privilege of learning from Steve Keller 5 of the 6 volumes of the Shulchan Aruch. And we did it over many years, and it was truly wonderful. I thought we learned that there's an absolute prohibition of asking an Eino Yehudi to do something for you on Shabbos, that which you yourself are prohibited from doing, save the situation that he pointed out, pikuach nefesh or the ilk, something for the community at large, etc.
So that's why the Gemara in Eruvin has this case about the asking the non-Jew to bring hot water through a space that doesn't have an Eruv. So from here, the question is, between the Rishonim, is that a singular exception to the rule that the rabbis built into the system? Again, it's a rabbinic rule here. The whole thing about Amir al-Nachbar is rabbinic. So they make the rules here and they make the exceptions to the rule. So is the exception to the rule only by a tzorech milah on Shabbos, or is it, do we extend that to any other rabbinic rules? Because that's just an example of something when there's a makom mitzvah, there's a mitzvah that's on the line here, then we will be lenient. So that's why, yes, the general rule, the default position is as you said, but there are certain exceptions to the rule that the rabbis built into the system for great needs, for the needs of a mitzvah. And so if it's rabbinic in nature, the Rambam says, and there's a mitzvah that's attached to it, we'll be lenient. That's called a mitzvah, shvus to shvus, a double derabanan b'mkom mitzvah. So generally you're right, but there are exceptions to the rule that the rabbis built into the system.
But the whole purpose of a midrabanan is to create a siyag laharchik adam min ha'avera.
Yes.
That's what the rabbis.
The rabbis were also sensitive. Yeah, but the rabbis were also very sensitive to, when you're weighing other factors. So there's a mitzvah that's otherwise won't get done. For example, let's use the Mila case from the Gemara. If I don't have mayim chamin, I won't be able to treat the baby, properly after the bris Mila with the right, however they thought was the best way to deal with it in those times, to help treat the baby, to give it the right, maybe the hot water, to clean the wound, whatever it might be. Right there are sometimes, yes, they want to keep a siyag, but they also.
Well, that wouldn't make sense because the Moel himself could get the hot water if it's essential for the bris process.
But it's not pikuach nefesh. Meaning, it's not pikuach nefesh to wash the whatever, however they need to use the hot water. It's just how you would treat a chole who's not in danger, right? They're not saying that there's a life-threatening situation for the baby after the bris milah if you don't do this. It's how do you do wound care? How do you treat this child so that you're minimizing the pain? So there. Look, yes, we want to liharchik adam min havera, but there are other considerations as well. When there are other considerations like a mitzvah, so the rabbis were lenient. They said, I understand that in this situation we won't be marchik you from the avera. We're going to trust you that you're not going to learn from this because you're doing a mitzvah, and therefore it's an exception case. Yes, Tommy.
According to the Rambam, you can have a Shabbos boy turn the light on a Friday night because it's a mitzvah to do kiddush and to eat.
Because the lights today are mostly rabbinic in nature, not the incandescent light bulbs of the past.
Okay, that makes a difference there.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the type of light that's going on. If it's a Durabanan, and so you have a double Durabanan and call mitzvah, I could see being lenient there. Because
that's the Rambam's position.
Yes, that rabbinic. Yeah, that if shvus, it's mutar lo malal Yehudi b'shvus Durabanan b'mkol mitzvah. So yes, I can recall, and we'll get to this situation later. My Rebbe has a machlokes with other rabbanim in YU about this. My Rebbe was more machmir, so tough on me. But I remember learning with a different Rebbe at one point in YU, and he said, "Oh yeah, if a light is on Friday night in your room by accident, somehow a light was on. Maybe somebody accidentally turned it on. Maybe it was forgotten to be turned off. So what are you gonna do? You can't sleep. How are you gonna sleep? You got a light on in your room. Let's say it was an incandescent light bulb, even the worst kind of light bulb. So I considered like an Asia glowing hot metal. So I remember that he said, use your elbow and bump the light off. Because turning off light is only turning a light off is only the rabbanon. Turning light off the kibui is only a doraisa when you want the pecham, when you want the coals. It's not really the situation there. So you don't want anything from the light turning off. In terms of like, something you get as a result of the leftover of having turned it off. So it's only the rabbanon. And then when you do something kila achar yad, you don't do it the normal way that it's done. That also knocks something down to a derabanan. And if you'll say that you're not going to sleep all night, because the light is on right over my bed, that you have a shvus, the shvus, b'makom, mitzvahs oneg Shabbos. You want to be able to rest on Shabbos. So again, my Rebbe was actually machmir in that situation. I'll explain why a different time when we get there. It has to do with the fact that he felt like with light switches and whatnot, even if you do it with your elbow, the malacha is still happening in the same way. The circuit doesn't close any differently than it does in a situation where you do it regularly. So he felt that the malacha has to be done with a shinui, not your action on the malacha. That's a separate point. I don't want to get far afield on that. We'll talk about when we get to the topic of shinui, of kilach hayad. Yeah. So
There's
there are situations, yeah. So anyway, so that's why I'm just bringing that up because you were saying
the Rambam.
the Rambam, yeah. So that's yes, that sounds like a situation that's legitimate. Okay, now let's go further now in Sif Gimel. We reviewed from last week, get a little even about the Gemara, about the sugya there. Let's take a look here at Gimel. Okay. Now, okay, this is, you're gonna have to stay with me on this one. The explanation on this one is not hard. It seems like to go at first glance. This seems to go against some of the things that we've said, but you have to stay with me in terms of the explanation. This does give a lot of color about this topic. Im Omer Adam la'avdol l'shivchaso leilech imo v'hidliku haner. Yeah, Stif Gimel. For Shimon Reish Ayin Vav, Stif Gimel. Yeah, you see where we are, Shlomo? Yes, correct. Im Omer Adam la'avdol l'shivchaso leilech imo v'hidliku haner. Af al pi shigam heim tzrichim lo. Ein zeh l'tzorach ha'eino Yehudi. Kevan she'ikar ha'alicha b'shvil Yisrael. If a person says to his servant, his male servant or his female servant, to go with him, it's obviously dark out at night, it's a Friday night, And that must be the situation here in the background of what's going on. So it's Friday night, it's the nighttime, and he says to his servant to come with him. He has to go somewhere. I don't know. He's going to a neighbor. He's going to whatever. He says, "Go with me," and light the candle. They want to be able to see where they're walking. Right? It's not like today where we have street lamps. And okay, so the non-Jew lights the lamp. Now, the non-Jew also needs a light too. He's walking on the street. He's walking on the path. He also needs to see where he's going so he or she doesn't fall, trip, whatever. So, but we're not going to be so lenient to say that that's Einza L'Tzorech Ha'inyan. Oh, he lit the candle for himself. Wasn't for the Jew. Because at the end of the day, the Jew wanted to go somewhere. The Ikar Ha'alika is because of the Jew. Okay. Okay. Where are we here? Okay. Okay. So Ain says, okay. Now the Rambam writes, Umoter lomar le'eno Yehudi le'elech imo litol ner daluk kvar. Okay, well, what we just described is not okay. Right? You can't ask the non-Jew to light a candle and walk with you. It is permissible to tell a non-Jew to walk with you and take a candle that is already lit. So it is previously lit. That you're allowed. However, because why? He's just doing tiltul muksa. He's just carrying something that is not, you're not allowed to move. It's the tiltul muksa d'Rabbanan. We're talking about an Isra d'Rabbanan, and we're talking about specifically not just Isra d'Rabbanan, we're talking about the Isra of muksa, things that are set aside and designated. And so here we have an Isra of tiltul, and this is just that. You're going to be allowed to tell the non-Jew to carry that candle that is already lit, as opposed to the first case. The first case you're asking him to do fire, that is d'oraisa you're asking him to do, and so we're not going to be lenient, but we'll be lenient when we're asking him to do an isser muktzah of carrying the candle. Yes. That's a very good question. What if he tilts the candle? That will perhaps raise the flame or diminish the flame. Very good. The Mishnah Berurah is going to deal with your question. Very good here. Okay, let's take a look here at where are we up to? Chav Zayin in the Mishnah Berurah. Okay, Leilech Imo. Okay. Dafka Nakat. He says here specifically the case of walk with me, right? With me together. Now, this is where I have a feeling, Simeon, you're not going to like this. Okay, I'm just previewing. I want to give you a trigger warning that you're not going to like this.
Can I ask this question?
Oh yeah, Shlomo, go ahead.
A person comes to
Yes.
Okay, he comes in every day, or every 2 weeks, or every 1 week, the same day.
Yes.
You allow him to do that.
Yes.
What's the difference between that and that?
That they're coming to do certain things at your house?
Yeah.
Well, you have to make sure that they're doing mutter things at your house, or at least you're giving them options to do. So let's say you want them. This is actually going to come up here about. Is going to come up in actually this comment in Mishnah Berurah about washing dishes. Let's say you have a non-Jewish person working in your house who cleans the dishes on Shabbos, and let's say it's fine. They have the option to use the cold water. They have a Shabbos-friendly sponge. They have so they're cleaning your dishes. You could do it too, but you're having them do it. And if they choose to do it with the non-Shabbos sponge, but the Shabbos sponge was there, or the Shabbos brush was there, and they chose to do it the non-Shabbos friendly way, I gave them a Shabbos friendly route to do this, and they chose not to do it that way. That's fine. And I don't have to sit there and correct them because they have an option. But they can come and work in my house. There's no problem with that. Yeah. You have to watch out how you pay them, right? You can't, you pay them for the week. You can't just only pay them for, the hour on Shabbos. That you have to be, it needs to be part of a bigger package of how you pay them. But that's a separate halacha that we mentioned in the past, and I'm sure we'll come back to it again about schar Shabbos, about payments on Shabbos, or for Shabbos things. Okay, so leilechim dafka naka. We're talking about specifically when you ask the non-Jew to walk with you. Aval im mishalcham b'shlichuso sheyelchu be'atzmam v'hidliku es haner laha'ir lahem. Ein ze mikrei litzarko af sheikar halichasam hu b'shvilo. כיוון שאין גופו נהנה מהנר בעץ ההדלקה. ומותר אחר כך לישראל להשתמש אצל הנר. Okay, so what if you send the non-Jew, hey, I need you to go to Yankel's house down the block. He's a 5-minute walk, or maybe he's a 2-minute walk, by the way, for all we know. It's very, again, without streetlights, it is extremely dark outside. And if you want to go to somebody's house on a Friday night in the days of yore, you really needed some sort of lamp outside to be able to see where you were going. Particularly if the moon wasn't shining that night. So let's say you ask this non-Jew to go ahead of you. So you send them as a shliach. And so I didn't tell him light the candle. I didn't say anything. I said, I need you to go two doors down, 3 doors down to the neighbor. We're going to have an Oinig Shabbos over there. And here, how about you'll take this cholent I made, take it with you, or whatever you're sending. Send him a bottle of wine. So he goes on his merry way. The person himself, the non-Jew himself, is going to be like, "Oh, it's dark out here." He's going to take a match, or he's going to take something, and he's going to light a fire. So that is different. Why? Because that's not called Enza Mikre Litzarko. Right? That wasn't for the Jew. He didn't do it for the Jew. Yeah, it's true. He went to the neighbor's house because the Jew told him to. But since he didn't benefit from the goof, the actual malacha, the Jew is not benefiting right now from the light. He's not seeing the light. He's not utilizing the light right now. The light, is not something he's not benefiting. That's why for his body doesn't benefit from the candle at the time that it was lit. So umuta. So now let's say this candle was lit, and now it ends up in the other guy's house, or he comes back with the candle, or he leaves the candle on the road so you can see where he's going. And now 20 minutes later, the Jew wants to go to his friend's house. So now it's mutter afterwards for the Jew to use this light that was lit before by the non-Jew when he went on his own way. And the Taz has something similar, not the same case, but something similar that he writes at the end of this siman. And this is the quote from the Taz. Near Eli, it appears to me, this is your case, Shlomo. A shifcha, the maidservant, lights a candle inside the house in order to wash the dishes. She wants to wash the Friday night meal is over. Her job on every day of the week is to wash the dishes in our house. And so she lights a candle by the sink because she wants to see if she's cleaned the dishes. She's not Jewish. Doesn't matter for her. Her job is to clean. I need to clean the dishes. That's what they want. Yeah, because dishes on Thursdays too, on Wednesdays, Tuesdays. So it's Friday night, like she probably does on Thursday night, because there's no lights, in there. She probably took something and lit a candle.
Even though the dirty dishes are the Jews.
Yes, correct. That's correct. So she lights the candle. She concludes to clean the dishes. We don't lo mikre l'tzorach Yisrael. That's not called for the needs of the Jew. She needs it because her job is to clean dishes. That's her job. So she needs the light. That's why, okay? Now, the Jew is not benefiting when she turns the light on. The body of the Jew, that's why I'm being very particular in translating this. The body of the Jew is not benefiting from the light that goes on. The dishes of the Jew are benefiting, not the body of the Jew. Okay? Literally, his kalim, his dishes benefit. His dishes benefit. His dishes are right? His dishes are washed, and she is obligated to wash them. So litzarkahim adlekes. Right? She lit it for her purposes. She needed to wash the dishes. That's her job in my house. I pay her all week to wash the dishes. ומותר אחר כך ישראל להשתמש לנר זה, אף צורכי גופו. Now that the light is on, that this light that was lit by the sink, so for her to wash the dishes, she lit it for herself. If I then now, after she's done washing the dishes, I want to use the light, it's on there. Now I can see other things going on in my kitchen. Not a problem at all. Because at the time when the candle was lit, she lit it for her needs, not for the Jew who hired her to wash the dishes every day even. So this is, again, it does fit our principle. Our principle is, if the malacha is done for the non-Jew does the malacha for themselves, after that, a Jew can benefit from that malacha. There are some situations where we'll be machmer, like by food. Okay, we talked about this previously, but let's talk about lights here for a second. If a light goes on Shabbos and the non-Jew lit the light for themselves, and now the light stays on, a Jew could benefit from that. If the non-Jew lights the lamp, whatever, for a Jew can never benefit from that.
So there's an issue of payment now. She's getting. It's לא תלין שכרו של שכיר, right? She's not supposed to take.
No talin pulat sachir, yeah. Yeah.
So how does she get from there?
So she can't be what I would call a sachir shows. She can't be paid by the hour. She can be paid by the hour, but you can't like, oh, you did 2 hours? Okay,
no,
so
pay for the job.
right, so she's a kabbalah, and you pay her to be the dishwasher or to be the housekeeper. You don't pay her for the hour. You might pay her for the total hours of work throughout the week, but you are not allowed to pay her for only the hours on Shabbos, alone and singularly. You can do what's called schar b'havla. You pay a part of a larger, it's sort of swallowed up in a larger sum. So I'm paying her for the week. She came Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I give her the check at the end of the week for $500, whatever it is, $500. And part of that was what happened on Shabbos, but it was in a bigger subset. That's mutter. That's the Gemara talks about that. That's mutter behavla. You just pay for the 2 hours that you hire a person, they come for 2 hours on Shabbos, and then you pay them for the 2 hours on Shabbos. That's not permissible. Even if you give them money after Shabbos, it's not that you can't pay them for only the work that was done on Shabbos. That's and again, if also they're a kabbalah and they can do the job at any point, which is not the case here, because you do want your dishes washed every day. But, as long as they're part of a bigger job, it's okay. Okay. Let's just finish. Oh, yeah, go ahead, Simeon.
So the shifcha washes the dishes on an ordinary Shabbos, blows out the candle, and goes into her room to watch TV.
Yes.
Now you have some guests and whatever, and she had put the light on or put the candle on. Isn't it amira li'akum to tell her, do not extinguish the candle this week because we have guests and we'd like to benefit from that light?
That's an interesting question. Can I tell them not to do something? The answer is, I think, yes, you can tell them not to, because there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, once the candle was on for the right reasons, they lit it for their own, the non-Jew lit it for themselves. They needed it. Now that the light is on, I can tell them, please don't extinguish the flame. I don't want you to extinguish the flame. Because they're not doing anything wrong as a result, right? You're telling them to do something that's mutter, which is don't turn the light off. So therefore, that's permissible. You're always, as long as the action that you're asking them to do is mutter, then because you know why, Damien? You could do that yourself. You can also not turn the lights on, so you could tell a non-Jew not to turn the lights off. So you could tell the non-Jew not to turn the light off. So that works. That works.
Okay.
Rabbi?
Yes. I didn't see you there, Hinda.
I just tuned in a short while ago.
Oh, okay. How are you? And
I'm completely exhausted.
And a refuah blema to Gene should really.
Forget him. How about me? You have no idea. I think I did this staircase. I lost track after 50 yesterday. I mean, up and down and up and down. Whatever. More important to today. If I missed a lot of this, but if you have somebody in your house to help you in the kitchen, to do the dishes, whatever.
Yeah.
And she says, which dishwasher can I use?
Okay.
Or she says, where is your vacuum cleaner?
Hmm.
You allowed to answer those questions? I mean, I could say I'd prefer you don't use a dishwasher, but
Yeah, you should say
obviously
like
it's more work for her
you
if she
could say,
doesn't. She wants to use the dishwasher.
right. You should say like here you know you could just use this. You just say here's how we wash the dishes on on our Sabbath. If the person doesn't want to then follow they want to do it their way, it's actually mutter if they want to do it their own way, right? For example, you have the regular kind of sponge, that squeezy sponge, which is definitely a problem for schita on Shabbos, and you have the Shabbos brush or whatever, and they're both sitting right in front of the sink. Both options are there. I don't have to tell them a word. If they pick up the sponge, I don't have to say a word. I gave them a permissible option right there to do it. So if they chose to use the dishwasher on their own, without getting to do they turn it on, do they turn it off? Like if they want to do something that's not permissible because that made their life easier, their job is to wash the dishes. And I gave them a derech to do it permissible in a way that's permissible, and they choose to do it in a non-permissible fashion, that is their choice. But if they start asking me questions about how to do that, I don't think you can answer that, because I think then you are supporting their using of the improper method for doing it on Shabbos. So you should try to. What was that?
You can't tell them this is a milk, this is a fresh.
Or which one is the dishwasher? That's
Yeah.
correct. I don't. It doesn't sit well. Because then you're unless you were just giving them a lay of the land, in the kitchen, like this is their first time. You're just showing them here's the whole milchik side. This is the milchik sink. This is the milchik dishwasher. This is the utensils. This is the milchik this. Unless you're giving them a tour, but if they're asking specifically, I want to use a dishwasher. Can you tell me, how do you turn it on? Right?
That's different, but I can tell her this dishwasher we only use for dairy, obviously.
Right.
I know it's the other one she's gonna use.
Perfect. Let me think about it. I don't want to be so quick to be machmir, but let me think about it. But if they're asking you questions certainly about how to use it, which one they should use, if they're asking you for your advice, then that's more troublesome to tell them to do that. Anyways, good question though.
I give you permission.
Question.
Okay.
Let's finish this Mishnah Berurah comment here. We're not done with the dishes. The dishes haven't been fully washed yet. So the Mishnah Berurah here says, let's say the non-Jew lights the candle to wash the dishes. 3 minutes later, I have two sinks. So I decide I want to join in the party for washing dishes. And I take my Shabbos brush and whatever. I can now wash the dishes utilizing that light that was turned on. Because when it was turned on, it wasn't for me. It was for her. And even though, yes, the Pri Megadim wants to be machmir on this case, if let's say the Jew, let's say she turns the candle on, she wants to wash the dishes, so she gets the candle on. She's still collecting all the plates though from the dining room, and she's bringing them in. So she doesn't start washing the dishes. But when she lit it for the purposes of washing the dishes. So the Pri Megadim is machmir in that situation. If a Jew jumps in and he or she starts washing the dishes, off the bat, by himself, because it looks then like she lit it for him. He's the only one washing the dishes right now. So it gives a false impression that the candle was lit for him. So the Pri Megadim is machmir in that situation. Which is not the case by what we're describing here. Where she lights it and she's washing the dishes, or he's washing along with her, then we're okay with that, because then it's clear to everybody that the non-Jew lit it for themselves. That's just a sort of, I guess, a Marisayan kind of concern there. Like people will think that the light was lit for you, even though the honest truth is that she lit it initially for herself. She was still clearing the table though, and you jumped in to wash the dishes before her, which is very nice of you, but it gives off the wrong impression that she lit it for you. Okay. Okay, fine. Now let's take a look. Yes, Hinda, go ahead.
One follow-up. She's with you before Shabbat, because that's the way you're going to be able to pay her, is for a clump of time that includes pre-Shabbat setup. Are you allowed before Shabbat to say, this is the meat dishwasher?
Yes.
If you choose to
I, I,
use it,
I believe, without talking about how you wash or don't wash dishes on Shabbos, if you show this person all the cleaning opportunities that they have available to them, because it's still Friday afternoon. For all I know, that they might want to use this dishwasher before Shabbos starts. So Malaza show them all the options that are available, the regular sponges. You can explain, oh, this is our Sabbath sponge, right, or a brush or whatever. You know, you don't have to say anything. You just say, here are all the options, because they could still be washing dishes on the Friday, as long as you know, you're not boxed into that it's only Shabbos. I think that's fine. Then you would show, this is our dishwasher for the meat dishes. Here's our sponge. This is our brush. You don't even have to call it a Shabbos. As long as that they had a permissible option, they choose to do it their own way. That's l'tzorka. That's for her needs, right? And that's going to be permissible. Okay, tchavches. Tzrichim lo, right? That this is going back to the case of walking on the streets. It's dark, and we say even though heim tzrichim lo, even though they need it, the non-Jew, you know, they need that light too because it's dark. So rotzilomar v'im kain hu hochacha litzarko hidlik. Uchadel b'sif beis. That what does he mean to say here? That v'im kain, if so, it's a hochacha, means a proof that he's lighting it for him, right? You might say, oh yeah, he needs it, so therefore we're good. I can tell this guy to walk with me on the road because he needs the light too. So you might think you could say that, even though you could say you could say that maybe that's not considered l'tzarach eina, because the whole reason that we're walking right now is because the Jew told us we're going over here. So that's not going to fly. Chavtet lomar le'eno Yehudi. Now, this is talking about the Ramaz, that it's permissible to tell the non-Jew to take a candle that's already lit and walk with me. So all you're doing is tiltul lemuktzah. You're moving the muktzah. And remember, Yair, we're going to come back to your question in just a little bit, okay? Yes, so what about if you tilt the candle, the non-Jew tilts the candle this way, that way, it's actually a much more severe situation. And if it's just moving the candle, that's only tiltul muktzah, which is obviously the Jew can't do it, but we're going to explain why. We're going to see why in a moment that here it's going to be okay. But lomar le'eno Yehudi, ve'ein lahatir ela livnei Torah. Okay, what's he saying here? You know who all people should rely on this heter? People who come to the Sunday morning shir, because you know better. You know the halachos, and you'll know when not to do the wrong thing. So only b'nei Torah should use this heter, because perhaps because you'll end up. Srach is like, I guess, like you know, what's the good way to translate the word misrach? It's like srach is like it'll become disgusting. It'll become like you'll go down a bad path here, and you're going to be super makil. You'll be like, oh, this time he carried the candle for me. Next time he'll light the candle for me. Next time he'll do whatever. So only B'nai Torah should really rely on this heter, because B'nai Torah know the differentiation between what's okay and what's not okay. So if you need the non-Jew to walk with you, great, no problem. The candle was already lit, and you know because you came to the shir that next time though I can't ask him to light it for me. So only B'nai Torah should rely on such a heter. By the way, what's always I find funny about lines like this in the Mishnah Berurah, because you find lines like this similarly other places, that the people who are not B'nai Torah aren't learning the Mishnah Berurah, so they don't know that you're not supposed to do it. So it's like now that you know it's great, but if you don't know it, okay, I guess you're not supposed to be more heter. So you shouldn't tell other people who don't know the halacha to do it, because otherwise they'll make mistakes in the future. Yes.
There's like a sports game or something.
Yeah.
And you wanted to know who won. So you asked the non-Jew to go on their phone, but they forgot about the game. But now that you told them, they also want to know about the game. And they look it up, like who won. and then they tell you, but like they also did it for them.
That's an interesting shout. Could you hear that on Zoom? You heard that? He was asking, let's say you really want to know the score of a certain game that happened over Shabbos. Like some Mets fans probably today are very desperate to, like, if it was today was Shabbos and it was the last day of the regular season, you want to know.
It'll ruin Shabbos if he finds out.
You're right. If you're a Mets fan, you probably better not know it. But you want to know the score of a game. Can you go over to a non-Jew and ask them, what was the score of, can you look up what the score was? Or what's the score of the game?
Can you look up? She's doing for you.
Right, because now they don't care. Do they want to know the score? Do I know the score? Is that what you're asking?
Like he like forgot about the game, like but like he
But he's saying it's Lator calls. He also wants to know the score of the game.
forget about the game and then he looked up for himself.
That's an interesting question. Never thought about that, because a lot of times what happens on Shabbos morning here, you know how people find out, first of all, you have the paper, but sometimes if I need to know, because I deal with the kids here on Shabbos, so I have to be up on what's going on in the sports world sometimes, so I have to pretend I know what's going on. So sometimes I'll ask the security guard, during the Major League Baseball playoffs, it's like, oh, did the Yankees win last night? Did that, just so to that. Now, maybe I shouldn't do that. I don't know, because my assumption is that it's so davar yadua to somewhere like that they're not looking it up. They might even they probably already know, but sometimes I'll ask them. But a real situation is you ask one of our staff members, "What's the weather going to be later today? Is it going to rain? Is the rain going to hold off?" Right? And they don't know the answer to that. So what do? They go to their phone and they take out their phone and they go to the weather app. Is that they did that malacha for me, or they did it for themselves? Right? Not so bashur to right. Based on what we're talking about, that's what Yair is asking. A very good question. Right? Is that really for your own need, or is that or are you going to say, well, they're also benefiting because now they know the weather or they know the sports score? It's an interesting question. I don't know. I want to think about it. It's a good question. Very good. I love that you picked up on the underlying piece here that drives the halacha. Very good.
Rob,
let's take a look. Yes.
If your son would couch his question to the non-Jew, do you happen to know?
You know the score. Do you know the score from last night?
And then be quiet.
Correct. Then you're not saying do it for me. You're saying do you know the score? If they don't know the score, they don't have to look it up for me. If they choose to look it up, that's their own choice.
It's on them.
Right. Correct. Yeah. There you go. Did you hear Simeon had good advice for you how to ask? Okay. All right. Lamed, Sifkat and Lamed, Lele Chimo, that he can walk with you when the candle is already lit. He gives you a better example. Let's say you want the light on, not to go down the street to go to the neighbor, but you want to get wine from Martef, from the wine cellar. And again, it's pitch black. It's dark. How are you going to get down there? But you need wine. You want wine. So you say, here, come with me. Come with me to the wine cellar. Take this candle. Let's walk. It's already lit. And let's walk to the wine cellar. Or you want to get bread. There's no challah rolls. Oy vey. So you want to go to the neighbor to get a challah roll. I'm short challah. I need lechem. So then it's that's the kind of situation here we're talking about. That's the kind of reason you would want to go somewhere and you need this. You need to go. And there's no differentiation whether the candle is the candle that's wax or from animal fat or oil. But pay attention here, Eric. This is your question. Bener shel shemen, when you're talking about an oil candle, okay. Nachon lahachmir shelo lomar la'en Yehudi sheyelech ima b'merutza. You say, what about the tilting of the candle? It's correct to be stringent, to not say to a non-Jew to come with me quickly. B'merutza, come quickly. Don't say that when it's an oil candle. Just say, come with me. They can walk nice and slow. By the way, and not only is this an oil candle, but when we lived, we were on Michael Drive, or corner Michael and Waverly in our house there, and there were more than a few times we went to up the. I don't know if we came to your house one time, or we don't know if we came to your house. One time we came to your house. One time we went to the Zapinskis. Whatever. Our Yontif candle went out, and we had to light the candles. And I would go to the people. The Grouses were a couple houses down, or so we would. I remember once that the Zapinskis just gave here. They already lit their candles. They said, "Here, take our candle." So I walked with the pre-existing flame. It's Yontif, so it's a different story than Shabbos. And I walked down the street. But how did I walk? I walked quite slowly. I didn't want to lose that flame, right? If you walk very quickly, you can mess with the size of the flame. So he says here, it's right to be machmir when you talk about an oil candle. Don't tell the non-Jew to walk quickly, because what will happen? You're going to cause, as the oil is sort of rocking back and forth as you're going fast, you're causing it to come closer to the wick, thus making the flame bigger. And sometimes then the oil will, go away and you'll diminish the flame, which is a problem. You're extinguishing and you're kindling flames here. If the Jew is doing this himself, that would be a biblical prohibition. So you're trying to avoid telling him to do anything that's biblical here in this situation. So al-kain ein lomar ze la'eino Yehui. So therefore, don't say this. Don't tell him to come quickly, because otherwise you're telling him to do something that inevitably is going to result. I know, or finish in a few minutes. It's going to result in a big problem. Okay, now let's read the next comment here of the Mishnah Berurah. Okay, Ba'alma. Why is this okay? Because it's just tiltul haner Ba'alma. It's just I'm just telling him to carry the candle. It's already lit. So what happens here? What do you think?
Back, I want it back.
No, we're not putting it on back. Okay, thank you. So Rotz Lomar, Mishnah Berurah Lamed Aleph says, what this means, this is to say, V'hoel tehurak iser muktzah. It's just an iser of muktzah. It's just muktzah. It's just something that's set aside. I'm not allowed to move candles that are on. Okay, not because of the extinguishing or the increasing of the flame, because maybe I can control for that. But what's the problem? Problem is I'm not allowed to move a candle. It's a muktzah. It's set aside. Umuktzeh sharei al yadei tiltul min hatzad. But tiltul min hatzad is permissible. What's tiltul min hatzad? Carrying, literally min hatzad means from the side. I'll give you an example of tiltul min hatzad. So, and it's mutter when I need something. There's a need. So what's the tiltul min hatzad? Let's say before Shabbos I stick in the ground.
What?
They can't hear me now. You can't put that in. They can't hear me. Hold on. They can't hear me. You can't do that.
But I want.
But so you'll hear them. Okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So the tiltul min hatzad example is let's say before Shabbos you stick a carrot in the ground, and it's like one of those Bugs Bunny carrots. It's got the thing sticking out with the green. Okay. So you stick it into the ground. It's not attached to the ground anymore. It's detached. But in order to preserve it, again, they didn't have refrigerators like we do. So it's a cooler at night. I'm going to stick it in the ground. I'll preserve it in the ground. Tomorrow, when I want to eat it for lunch, the carrot, I'll serve it at lunch. I'll pull it out of the ground, then I'll chop it. I'll wash it and chop it. All permissible. I'm allowed to wash it with my water basin, and I'll chop it with a knife. Okay. But when I pull it out of the ground, again, not detached. It's detached from the ground. When I pull it out of the ground, I'm going to move. I'm mezis to ofar. I'm moving the dirt. Dirt is muktzah on Shabbos. I'm not allowed to move dirt with my hands. But why is it mutter? Because it's tiltul min hatzad. I moved it indirectly. The carrot, I pulled the carrot up. The dirt moves as a result. That's tiltul min hatzad. And therefore, when there's a need, tiltul min hatzad is permissible. I needed the carrot. I was serving it for Shabbos lunch. That was my example. So here, I have a need. I need wine from the wine cellar. I need to get the challah. The carrot is permissible to carry, right? The carrot is permissible. It's not attached to the ground. If it was attached to the ground, still that's a big no-no. That's not, I can't do that on Shabbos. But I buried it before Shabbos in the ground. But the green part was sticking up. I wanted to preserve it in the ground. The ground is cold at night. I don't want it to be whatever. They didn't have refrigerators, so I'll stick it in the ground. It'll preserve it nice and cool, and I'll take it out tomorrow and I'll wash it and cut it up and put it in the salad. But I'm moving the dirt when I pull the carrot out on Shabbos. I'm moving the dirt. Why is that okay? Because it's called tiltul min hatzad. It's indirectly moving muktzah. When we get into some of the muktzah simanim, we'll get into tiltul min hatzad, with great.
It's not the primary.
I think that's one of the examples I think that's given by the Mishnah Berurah about tiltul min hatzad, about pulling something out of the ground. That's like the carrot example I gave. So now muktzah shari al yedei tiltul min hatzad. I'm not directly moving the muktzah. The non is moving the muktzah. So if tiltul min hatzad is okay, this is also, it's kind of like tiltul min hatzad. A Jew can do the carrot example. They can take shakile ba'atzma. He can take himself, through the means of tiltul min hatzad. Kigon ba'achorei adav. I can use the back of my hand. Ben atzilei adav, or between the fingers of my so if the non-Jew does it, there's no issur here. The Jew could even do it using the back of his hand when you pick it up, right? Like it says in sorry, I lost my spot in my hair. Sorry, like it says in Shin Yud Aleph, right? So there are examples here where it's permissible, even if you do it with the back of your hand. That's like tiltul min hatzad. By the way, some are machmir not to do tiltul min hatzad with the back of their hand because it's still their body. And so if you look at comment number 48, right, it says that shetiltul muktzah al yedei echad me'evarav shel adam nechshav l'tiltul begufo mutar afil l'tzorech davar ha'asur. Sorry, and even if it's a davar ha'asur, it's permissible. Sorry, other way around. It is permissible to use one of the limbs of your body. Shetiltul the Chazon Ish, but the Chazon Ish didn't like that. He didn't like that you should move muktzah without moving something heter with it, like the famous Kikar Otinok example with a mace. That simon is about the mace, the Shin Yud Aleph, and the mace. You can move a mace on Shabbos if you put a baby or a child on top of the mace. Then you can move the mace.
Yeah,
because you're also moving something else that's permissible to move. Why the tinok? I never understood why that was the example of the thing you wanted to move. But okay. Anyways, it's the bottom line is here. The non-Jew is doing maybe less lanba. There's nothing to it because there's a need, and the need has been fulfilled through a non-Jew, not even the Jew. Okay. The Morgan Rav Sivkot on Tes. The taltel asapsila there, and if you want to move the wick by means of a non-Jew, kadeshli ganev, so that the wick doesn't get stolen, or shaloyi paseder, it doesn't get lost. Asur, that is not okay. V'rak tiltul shu tzarech lo gufa. It's something that you need the goof of the object if you're going to move it. Meaning, I need the bread, I need the carrot, I need the light in this case. Not because I want you to keep something safe for me, but I need the light right now when we go to the wine cellar to go see what's going on. Then that's okay to ask, or if I need the spot, can you do this for me because I need something in the spot? Is there going to be the exceptions when you can move things that we call quote unquote call muktzah? So then it's mutter. And that's why here when we talk about the light, I'm doing something that I need something. It's not for no reason. There's a good reason why I'm asking. But he can't light the candle. But if he carries a lit candle with me, will allow that, even though it's tiltul muktzah, but because there is a need here, it's a shvus to shvus. I think here that is it's welcome tzorech, that there is a need. All right, Simeon, I see you have a question. Otherwise, we're going to stop here, by the way. So Simeon will ask this question, but then we're going to pause. And next week, before Simeon you ask it, I want to remember to do one of the comments that's in this my edition of the Mishnah Berurah here, because it talks about important cases about misha shachach lechabos es hanorah b'mikarer. You forget to turn off. Okay, stop. The light in your refrigerator. That light in the refrigerator. If you forget to turn it off before Shabbos, what is how do you deal with that? With that comes up related to this topic, because you're asking a non-Jew perhaps to turn the light on, but maybe they also need something in the refrigerator too. So okay, we'll talk about that next week. Go ahead, Simeon.
If tiltul min hatzad is a valid activity permissible on Shabbos, why then does he go on the Mishnah Berurah to explain that physically I have to make some kind of a shinui to acquire something on Shabbos?
Sorry, I didn't understand. What did the Mishnah Berurah say?
Well, he goes on after tiltul min hatzad. The Mishnah Berurah goes on and says you should do certain activities backhanded or in a non-usual manner.
Okay.